Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Monday. It's September 15th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And a real quick look at our daily chart. If you take a look at this chart, this kind of changes from last month's chart here. This looks like a spike and channel up, and this channel still appears to be in play to me. You can see we're still in the upper half, and even though we're getting into the overbought territory, notice how usually it's still been turning down off of this upper trend channel, and so that allowed it to get really overbought, and that's probably why. Notice here it turned down right off the trend line pretty much. Didn't quite get to the highs, and here we could push even higher unless we're going to run out of steam here and finally get a break. So it wouldn't surprise me if we get well overbought here on this rally. So just looking at the way it's setting up here, I mean, we could turn down with a touch of this, but my guess is since we haven't come back to the trend line in a while, we've been fighting this midline and are finally above it. My guess is we're probably going to go all the way to the upper side. We'll see what happens. We could come back before that happens, or we could just turn that lower and fail to meet that high and finally start to get us some selling here. But as of now, it looks like we're going higher. It looks like a big spike and channel up on this chart. If you draw this one, you can see it looks something like that. So we spiked up and went into this channel, and looks like we're still going higher. That's what it looks like to me. So anyway, just thought it was interesting when we switched contracts that it looks like there's been no break of any trend line, and it doesn't even like we've tested the lower trend line in quite a while now. So anyway, let's flip over to the 2000 tick chart. It is we did have rollover, so if you hadn't rolled over to the December contract, I would do that. There weren't a lot of trades today. A lot of times the first couple of days of rollover are kind of quiet and not much price action, not a lot of volume. And that's kind of how it looks today, even though we did have a nice rally day. You can see we did rally today. So, but it is rollover. If you hadn't rolled over, be sure you do that. So let's flip over to the 2000 tick chart. Again, we'll be looking at the December contract, and we'll take a look at what the price action looked like, and we'll go through the few trades we had, and we'll wrap this day up. It's just hard to believe that September's almost halfway gone. It seemed like we just turned into September a couple of days ago to me. I don't know if time is going by for the rest of you as fast as it does seems to for me, but I mean literally it seems like September 1st just was a couple of days ago, and now here we are, September 15th. It's going to be October 1st before you can blink an eye. So this year is about over. I mean, think about it. We're going into the fourth quarter, and 2025 is going to be in the books before you can blink an eye. I just don't know where the time is going. I don't. Maybe it's just me, but it seems like it's just flying by. But anyway, let's flip over that other chart, and I'll quit jabbering here, and we'll go through the trades. Okay, here it is. Again, you can see there's not a lot of trades today. There's not a lot of volume today, really. It was mostly up. We did kind of top out around 10 o'clock, and we had a nice correction there up into about 2:30, and then we tried to trend higher again before turning down at those highs. No surprise that we turned back down at those highs around 66.80 again. Maybe tomorrow we'll push through them. We could see a correction. I don't know. But you can see we were a little too steep here early on. So you'd expect prices to either form a flatter channel or go sideways or even turn down. And it looks like we went sideways to down here before rallying back some of it again. But not a lot of trades today. So unfortunately, rollover periods are often like this, kind of slow and choppy. But notice we got a confirmation of this trend. We got a confirmation early on. This just further confirmed it. But literally within 15 or 20 minutes of confirming that channel, we got a break. A couple of regs up to a new high, and we end up kind of sideways to down here. So pretty standard price action, what you kind of expect. But 7 o'clock came as we're rallying in here. Prior to that, there wasn't much volume at all. Of course, this has a lot to do with rollover. A lot of people may be still trading the other contract during the overnight. But you can see 7 o'clock came as we're rallying up here. And we get the close outside, a couple of moves to a new high. And then this channel is still in play here. Even though we tried to correct, it just continued higher. But notice we went sideways here. This one would have been tempting, but there's just not room to scalp out. So just it would have worked, but don't try to enter those because you'll get burned if you keep doing it. Notice we broke out, failed out the upper side. It's tempting to go short here, and you might go short there. I didn't mark it, but you could argue for that to be green because at this point we really did confirm this down here. But you could almost, I mean, this still may not come into play until you get another touch and know for sure. So we could reverse here. And that's a pretty strong down bar right there. And you do have room to get out. So maybe you take that trade. I'm not crazy about shorting that because it's been a strong move up so far. And so you could get trapped. And real quickly it fails out the other side and traps people to the short side. I like going long there right off that key entry point. And you can see it's a nice move. And if you caught that, that may be all you need today. Because you could have easily got a runner on that. And if you do, that's that's a 10-point move. Even if you just went to the first red bar that you got a break below, you get an easy 6 points there. Or that's even the first bar that even had a break below. So usually the way I handle these is I will draw the trend line on this, and once I get a break of that, the first bearish bar, I'll put my stop low, and so I probably would have got stopped out right there. And it didn't go much higher before it turned down. Quick 2 legs down. There's a nice second entry here, and it is the first break of the trend line, so you expect prices to go higher. But you'd have to use this signal bar because they do have matching lows. This one doesn't qualify, but it doesn't break above, and then you get another inside one. So that looks, you got 3 bars just kind of working sideways, and that one has no body. So I don't think you want to enter above it, and then you finally get a higher low here. Again, it's an engulfing bar, so don't unless this broke higher, unless they break higher first and then turn down, don't enter on the engulfing bar. Here you may not have had any choice. But I wouldn't have gone long there with that another inside bar inside this big bar here because it definitely looks like congestion. So just sit tight. Now, this one, even if it would have ended bullish, I'd still say even once it closes, don't go long there because it's still another inside bar to this, and it just looks like congestion. It ends up going higher, but you don't want to risk any of that. It's just not worth the risk. You need something better than that. And you can see it makes a new high here. It does have a second entry short there way away from the EMA. So that's another one you might consider, that second entry short. This is basically a double bottom. So by the counts, this would be a 1, 2, third entry, but I would count this as a second entry because that's a double bottom. So first entry, second entry, it clearly looks like 2 legs up. It's a very good bar, very bearish bar. But we could still continue to push up. So you know, it's at this point I'd only mark that green, and we do continue to push up. We just don't get a setup to go long, and then we're working sideways here. That one is very tempting on a triple test, but it's right into that support that's been holding. You see it holds again. You wouldn't have got stopped out, but who wants to risk that and almost get stopped out on that? So just sit tight, and finally you get a failure here, and it's just a first entry, but notice the new high tries to go higher once, twice. It's 3 lower highs. It's a decent signal bar. It does confirm that trend line. So, and it is a breakout pullback short. So maybe you go short there. I marked it green. It's not a perfect setup, but there's reasons to like that one. And then we run down, and then we find the support. This looks like an overshoot to me right here. I believe there's an overshoot there, and so when you get this triple test with such a nice signal bar, it could be a reversal happening here. I think it's a little risky. It's a little hard to know just yet. Maybe you take it, but I'd at least wait on the higher low, which comes here, and that also gives you a first entry, second entry long, and then it does confirm. It also bounces off that trend line. We really didn't get a confirmation because this closed lower. You could draw this off of these lows and it still fits, but you never get a break or an overshoot or anything. So I believe it should have been drawn like this with the break and a few legs up, and we end up creating this new trend line. But by that time, you've got a break and a couple of legs up. So, but maybe you enter on this one just because it's a higher low right off that key entry point. It's a little risky, so because it's just a first entry. This was a first entry, and by this time, it looks. I mean, this looks a little sideways and congested. I just sit tight, and sure enough, this breaks higher and fails and turns down and gives you a big bearish bar. So and it looks like it's confirming a trend line. So I like going short there, and off this one goes another pretty nice move down. Again, that's just the first entry. Signal bar is no good, but look what's happens. You get two clear legs down, and see how close they are to being measured. Pretty close. The problem is your trend line's a little higher here. Actually, this could be up a little higher. It's real close to two legs down. But there's no setup. There's a higher low, but that signal bar is no good. You might say, okay, there's a reversal here, but that's not really where you're looking for a reversal necessarily. I wouldn't trade that. And we just keep working higher, and it turns down right off that key entry point again. However, you don't get a signal bar, but then you get this lower high. Now, this is a little advanced. I'll explain this to you. I went ahead and gave it a red. You could argue for this to be green because it is a little more advanced. But when you get a 2-bar matching high, you can treat that like a new swing high. So you could treat this like a higher low. And it's a big bearish, such a big bearish bar, and it does close right through the EMA. So I like going short there. Honestly, I do. So I marked it red. But again, it's real close. You could almost argue for it to be green. But I think that's one if you're going to risk a green one. And I did go ahead and mark it red because it's just borderline. I really liked it. So we run down here, just the first entry, no signal bar. There is a lower high here, but it's too close to that little 2-bar matching low. Don't enter there. It turns out to be a good move, but don't risk that. And then there's no setup here off the lower trend channel, even though you're a good bit away. Now, it does have that 2-bar matching high low, just like kind of like it did up here. So it's almost the same thing in reverse. And we do have a break in a new low. The only problem is we're in a downtrend here, and so I'd probably make that one green because you're counter trend trading here. So it's pretty much the same setup. A 2-bar matching low, it's just a reversal. And you do have the break, like I said, here in a new low, and it did bounce off the key entry. That's not really a key entry point. That's just the other side of the channel of a key entry point. So, but there's reasons to consider that, just like there was this one. It's just this one's a little stronger because it's with the trend, and this one's counter trend. So hopefully that makes sense. But we're working up, close outside new high, and that just looks way too congested. I would sit tight. I wouldn't go short yet. I'd see if you got a lower high, or we may still go higher here because we're not to the other side of the channel yet. We could turn down here, but the rules would tell you we're more likely to go up here. And it turns out we just went sideways before we did go up here. And we actually kept going higher. And so anyway, I don't like that. I mean, it's just a first entry. There's no signal bar there to go long, and I just don't think you want to go short yet. If you took this one, it looks like it would have worked, but I wouldn't risk it. It just looks like sideways congestion. And you can see there is enough room to get out there, but I don't like that trade. Here, you make a double top, and again, you probably have, it looks like you will have enough room, but again, I wouldn't take it. And then you can see this time, you would have got stopped out. It wouldn't have made it. So that's a good example of why you shouldn't try to enter here, even though this one worked. it could have done just like this one and this one and not worked. Of course, this one never triggered here. It's just after 230. But this one, actually, it doesn't trigger to the next bar. But you can see even when it triggers, it doesn't work. Um, so you couldn't have entered that one even if you wanted to. But this one is tempting. If you did enter it, it worked. But I'm not. I don't even like it as a green one because there's too big a chance we're going higher here to the other side of the channel. And I would want at least a lower high, and you don't get that till here, and you don't get a trigger on that one. Even the next one you don't get a trigger on until you have 3-bar matching low, and you don't want to enter below that because this is what happens. It ticks lower and traps you instantly and goes higher. So there it is. Not a lot of trades today. Not the best trading day. Not the worst by any means, but certainly not a great trading day. There's there's 1, 2, 3, 4 that I like as blue or red, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 5 or 6 green ones that maybe you take, but you got to be careful with them. So anyway, there it is. Um, if you struggled because you couldn't find trades today, there's a reason. There's just not a lot of them. Again, this is rollover day. It's low volume. There's not there's not a lot of good setups. There's not a lot of trades. And so it just makes it harder. And you just have to be patient, and you have to be able to sit there and wait till you do get a good setup. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.